Shit. Okay.
Because here's my bottom of the line. I think Barack Obama wants to be.
Oh, you're fine.
Go for it. I think Barack Obama thinks of himself, and I think he wants to be one of the greatest American presidents that we've ever had. And I think he wants people from the future to look at American history and say, well, if you're looking for liberalism, then you'll see that we have FDR with this New Deal, that we have LBJ with his war on poverty, and then we have Barack Hussein Obama with his new foundation for America. And I think that the flaw with Barack Obama isn't so much that he's a bad guy or that his policies are bad. It's just that he's president in the wrong time. And that he has this kind of view of, well, it's like Bill Clinton will never be a great president, no matter what. Because of the problem of when he was president. Because nothing really happened. It was peaceful. It was prosperous, and he reformed welfare, which has been rolled back, and he created budget surpluses, which have been annihilated. And so Bill Clinton will never be a great American president, like even George W. Bush had the potential to be, even though I think that kind of slipped away from him. And I think if you look at early Barack Obama speeches, you'll find that he keeps using words like new foundation. We're building the new foundation for America. He said new foundation so many times that it seems like it's not a coincidence. And I think that he was elected in an economic crisis, and he was unwilling to accept that because he wanted to build this new foundation. He really thought that he could be this great president, that he could roll back what Reagan did, and he could say, no more deregulation, no more lowering of taxes. We're going to create some new entitled, it's like a New Deal 2010 version, and everything will be fantastic after this. And I think it failed because of the time that he was president. I don't think Barack Obama wants to be president in the time that Barack Obama was elected president. And I think I feel like Mitt Romney's not so desperate to make his historical claim based on policy. And I think that he's perfectly content to abide by the campfire rule, where he's elected president, and then when he's not president, he can look back and say, well, I left things better off than when I got them. And I think Barack Obama's unwilling to accept that. And I think that's why he keeps spending, even though we can't afford it, because he feels like what he's doing is so much more important than the time that he was elected to serve.
So, what is it about Romney then that makes you feel, specifically, that makes you feel that what of his policies make you feel that things will be better than he left them?
Well, because, I lived in Massachusetts when Mitt Romney was governor, when he was campaigning for governor and was elected governor. I lived in Massachusetts in that time. And even if you look at the campaign, Barack Obama has inarguably, I think, inherited a serious problem and taken the same steps that most anyone, even Dennis Kucinich, or even, I'm trying to think of who the most extreme conservative candidate in 2008 was. Not Rudy Giuliani, because he was really moderate, but the most conservative candidate in 2008. I feel like they all would have done the same thing. And Mitt Romney actually advocated more stimulus than Barack Obama did, which I think is, it says whatever you wanted to say. But I think that Mitt Romney is that if you look at the two campaigns right now, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, say what you will about them. I think it's difficult to argue that they aren't serious people offering seriously well thought out solutions. Whether or not you think the solutions are good or viable or work for the majority of people, I think you can't deny that there are serious solutions to the problems that face the nation.
And what are these solutions? Because I'll be honest, I've been having trouble finding them.
Solutions like the national debt and the deficit, even. And when Paul Ryan stands up in front of Chris Matthews and says, well, what we need to do is we need to rescind stimulus funds, we need to rescind TARP funds, and we need to take spending back to 2008 levels to keep the deficit under control. And that'll save $1 trillion. And people say, well, that's ridiculous. Then I think that it's hard to ignore those kind of statements.
I have to admit, I'm still yet to hear like an actual comprehensive plan out of either of them. Especially, here's a question: what are your thoughts on Romney's ever-shifting statements?
His ever-shifting statements?
It does feel to me personally, I will confess a bias here, it does feel to me personally like day to day he changes what he says. And that's what makes it hard for me very personally to figure out like what his plans are. 2
points. Number one, I find it really interesting because I've heard the whole, well, I can't support Romney because he's a flip-flopper. I've heard this argument from so many people. And I've noticed that most of the people who say that are people who supported John Kerry in 2004 when the worst thing anybody could say about John Kerry was that he was a flip-flopper. And the second is that I don't really think Romney's a flip-flopper. Because one of the big points of evidence that people always say, well, okay, Mitt Romney's a flip-flopper, because when he ran for governor of Massachusetts, he said that while I am personally pro-life, I will preserve and protect a woman's right to choose. And then he went through his possibly convenient, maybe not, depending on who you ask, whom you ask, really, but his when the issue of stem cell research came into play. And all of a sudden, people were creating and destroying embryos for the purpose of research. And he said, this really isn't okay, and he vetoed it. And he always mentions this as signs of him turning pro-life. And I think that that's a misrepresentation, because I think that's separate from a woman's right to choose, which is linked to Roe versus Wade. I don't think anybody's advocating getting rid of that. I think Mitt Romney's stand on abortion necessitates Roe versus Wade staying in play, based on what Roe versus Wade says.
And what, from your perspective, is his stance on abortion?
I think Mitt Romney has the extremely politically convenient stand on abortion, which is that abortion is not okay, except in the cases of rape, incest, and the health of the mother. But I think Paul Ryan's stand on abortion is a lot more intellectually honest and a lot more legally viable, at least, based on what Roe versus Wade actually says.
So, my personal view on the whole flip-flopping topic isn't what he did in Massachusetts or anything. I actually do fully believe that someone can have the right to change their opinion over time, or to just have more complexities in the opinion. What has been confusing me is that he and his campaign, and maybe this is a miscommunication between the two, will put out very different messages literally from one day to the next.
Well, I think that a lot of that's just a misunderstanding of what he's doing. Because, one of the things that's kind of funny is because it seems like Democrats pop out all the stuff that Mitt Romney does in the debates against President Obama. It says, oh, well, look, he is changing his story. This disqualifies him. All you Republicans don't vote for Mitt Romney. And I just think, well, people used to say that you can't that Republicans shouldn't support Mitt Romney because he was secretly a moderate. And now that he sounds like a moderate, you can't support him because, he's not the severely conservative governor of Massachusetts. But I kind of take it as this. Because I look at this and I say that Mitt Romney has the virtue of being an experienced person in so many different ways that you can look at it. And if you'll notice in the Republican primary debates, he would only mention his experience at Bain Capital and barely mention his experience as governor. Because Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney seems like a moderate to a lot of people, whereas business CEO Mitt Romney seems like a conservative, so we'd emphasize his conservatism. And I think that in the debates against President Obama, when he only talks about being governor of Massachusetts, I think that there are a lot of people out there who say, well, this disqualifies him because, he's backing down from all the Bain Capital statements that he used to make.
Time out. Boom! Mitt Romney said that if he paid more taxes than he needed to, then he wasn't qualified to run as president, and he paid extra taxes, so it would seem like he paid more taxes the year he was running for president.
I think that's cheap. I think that's a cheap attack, honestly.
True.
I don't like Romney in the slightest.
2 points.
But
2 points. 2 points.
It's true.
If I can back away from the queefing vagina next to me. But 2 points. Number one, the liberal complaint against Mitt Romney is that he paid more in federal taxes than he had to because he didn't take all the deductions for all the charitable contributions that he made. It's like they're saying he should be disqualified because he gave so much money away that he didn't want to take credit for it.
He himself said, if I pay more taxes than I need to, I am not qualified for president.
No, he said, I think.
Okay, well, then he thinks then. Oh, well, that's what he thinks then.
No, well, it's up for the people to decide.
That's what
I
he
think
thinks
the people
then.
have decided that Mitt Romney's qualified.
I think people have decided
In a second,
Mitt Romney's an idiot.
let's talk about the binders full of women for a second.
Binders full of women.
Binders full of women.
Full of them.
So, a Republican candidate stands up in front of 60 million people and says, I think it's so important for women to be represented in government that I'm endorsing affirmative action to seek out women to fill my cabinet with. And he's roundly criticized by the Democrats because he says binders full of women. This is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever heard.
That's so weird because after he became governor of Massachusetts, there were actually less women in government. How do you explain the binders full of women?
I explained that as because what you just said was a ridiculous lie.
No, it's not.
Speaking of somebody who lived in Massachusetts,
Look it
when
up.
Romney was governor.
Look at the
he appointed-
percentages. Look at the percentages
he
of women in
appointed
government.
in between 40 and 48%. I forget the exact numbers.
It was less after Romney.
Yeah, well, less after Romney because Deval Patrick is a clown. He's like Obama, except without the charisma and the white mother. This isn't actually going on YouTube, is it?
That was racist. Racist, and I can say that. Like a Democrat would say it to you.
you knew I was rolling here.
No, I
But
know
it
he
is.
didn't mean it in a racist way.
It's, I just meant what Joe Biden said.
You just know what Joe Biden said.
And I mean what every Democrat says, where it's like, we're not racist by playing off racial stereotypes. Not at all. We're not doing identity politics and scare tactics. We're not telling women that they have to vote for Democrats unless they want women to die bleeding on the floor of emergency rooms while doctors refuse treatment. Even though that's what Democrats do.
But it's true.
It's true? How is it true?
Because they think the life of a fetus is more important than the life of a mother.
It's because
and if it comes down to the health of the mother,
No.
Todd Aiken said it the other day. He said with the new science, with the new advances in science, the mother doesn't need an abortion anymore. There's been some kind of magical thing, like when women get raped and automatically like have a miscarriage, because like when it's a legitimate rape, like the woman's body has a way to shut the whole thing down.
Todd didn't say that recently.
That was a while ago. I will take your side on this and say that was Todd Aiken, not Mitt Romney.
Yeah. I think that this whole war on women that Democrats keep.
Well, it's only coming.
masturbating
This
on
is only
women's
coming from
faces.
Republicans.
Yeah, well, it's like the war on Christmas. The Republicans used to, jack off all over the nation. It's like, I'm sorry, there is no war on Christmas. Just like there's no war on women. You look at this war on women and you say, okay, well,
There's no war on
it's
actual
like
war on.
it's like you look at this war on women and you say, well, there's this candidate for Senate in Missouri. There's this state senator in Florida who's going to lose. There's this bill in Arkansas which is going to fail. And you say, all these things do not combine into a war on women. It's just a bunch of jackasses. It's like if you look to find evidence of a problem.
Dude,
exactly like
It's
Bill
written-
O'Reilly
it's written
and
into,
the war
it's
on
written
Christmas.
into the RNC, man.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, banning abortion is written into the RNC.
Yeah.
And
the
actually,
Democratic
Party-
Party-
I'm just going to break in here. I got 2 minutes left on this battery. But I did want to say that was actually one of the issues that I kept hearing flip-flop. Romney and his campaign have come out both for and against a full ban on abortion.
Mitt Romney has always been for a ban on abortion, except in the cases of rape, incest, and the health of the mother. Paul Ryan, as an individual, has always been in favor of a complete ban on abortion with no considerations. As they've joined forces in the campaign, Mitt Romney's view has surpassed Paul Ryan's view. But Roe versus Wade says that, I'll try to do this in 40 seconds because your battery's dying. But Roe versus Wade says that abortion is legal everywhere because of the exceptions. It says that, if you have a woman who's denied an abortion because of her health, then for her to prove that she has that kind of infringement, she has to violate her privacy between her and her doctor to prove that she's not. But most importantly, it violates her right to due process. Because if she's ruled against, she can't appeal. Because pregnancy has a tendency to resolve itself a lot faster than the process of going through all these courts to get to somebody who can make a decision on it. So effectively, if you have a ban on abortion with exceptions, then you require Roe versus Wade, because once you have those exceptions, then they kind of make the rule.
And on that note, this is about to die. So, thank you.
Full of women.
Finders full of women is the way to go.
Finders full of women.
Finders full of women is the way to go.
I bet you.